Welcome to sunny Portugal for event 3 of the International Touring Car Championship at Estoril. After 2 events and 4 races, this is the man to beat, Opel's Manuel Reuter. He's had 2 wins and 2 thirds so far, which gives him a 13-point lead in the championship from the Dane Jan Magnussen in his white Mercedes. Third is last year's champion Bernd Schneider, but snapping at his heels is the young Scot Dario Franchitti. Still to score a point is the other British driver in the series, Oliver Gavin. The Opel driver had all sorts of problems at the last round. This collision with Opel teammate Alexander Wurz earned him a reprimand from his team manager.
It was very fraught, very close. It was starting to rain, I was on slick tyres, and I just braked a little bit too late, and of all the things I did, I ran at the back of my teammate, which is not the best thing to do. And because of that, I think an example was made of me, really, of what could happen if you misbehave and start knocking other Opel drivers around.
So far, it's been a nightmare for the Alfa Romeo team. Tyre problems and disqualifications mean they're well down the championship table. But that could all change at Estoril today. After qualifying, both Works Alfas are sitting on the front row. Alessandro Nannini was almost half a second quicker than his teammate and compatriot, Nicola Larini. Third quickest in qualifying is the Minardi Formula One driver Giancarlo Fisichella, with the Opel of German Klaus Ludwig alongside, even though it caught fire in practice. Mercedes had a disastrous practice, with their first car down in 12th place on the grid. But even so, team manager Norbert Haug is optimistic.
I think we can have a very good race, because some of the guys in the back can do better lap times than the other ones in the front, and so will be good maneuvers and good outbraking, and I think we will have a very interesting race here.
Bright sunshine, perfect conditions for race 1. The cars are on their warm-up lap now. Championship leader Reuter back on the third row. He, with 2 wins, is carrying 48 kilograms of ballast, because in ITC, the more you win, the more weight you have to carry to keep the racing even and unpredictable. There's the course car peeling off now, the grid coming forward to the start line, the red light's still on, so they have to keep pace, keep at a rolling speed until those lights go green as they approach the start line. The 2 Alfas are moving away, and it's Alessandro Nannini on the outside. He's got the quicker line as they go side by side down into the first corner. Nannini on the right of your pictures, and Nannini does dive ahead. It's Alessandro Nannini from Nicola Larini. Behind the 2 Alfas, it's Ludwig, first Opel in third place. Bartels and Fisichella battling ahead of Reuter. We're travelling with Reuter now as Fisichella weaves to try and keep Reuter behind. But here are the 2 Alfas now. Nannini clearly ahead of the field. Larini follows him through. Then the bright yellow Opel of Ludwig. Bartels in the orange Alfa. Fisichella in the red one. Then the black Opel, which is championship leader Reuter. Behind him there's another Opel, which is JJ Leto. Dario Franchitti is up to 9th place. And Watson blue Opel, there it is now. That's Oliver Gavin. He's in 13th place, fighting up through the midfield traffic. And at the front, still these 2 Alfas. Remember, they've had a disastrous start to the season, particularly suffering from tyre problems, but a lot of testing's been going on to get the aerodynamics right on these Alfa Romeos, and there they are in the chicane, first and second, ahead of Ludwig in the yellow Opel. And fourth man Bartels clearly leaking fuel there from the orange Alfa. That's going to be a problem for him. He's in 4th place, and there's been an accident at the chicane. Several cars involved, big shot. That's Kurt Tim's Mercedes. The car looks completely destroyed at the front. Water pouring from a burst radiator hose. This must surely be a red flag. Yes, there is the red flag. Now let's hear from Kurt Tim with his version of what happened.
Somebody hit, I think, Jan Magnussen, and he hit me, and then my rear and front was crashed in the car, so it was really brilliant. The construction of the car is make that they can change the complete rear axle and the complete front axle with engine complete, so normally it should be okay for second race.
But it won't be okay for the restart of the first race. Jan Magnussen, the current runner-up in the championship, isn't there either. But the field reformed in its qualifying order, and the 2 red and white Martini Alfas once more lead down to the green light. They're over the start-finish line now. It's Larini on the left, It's Nannini on the right. It's Klaus Ludwig in the yellow Opel, tucked in behind. Nannini has the outside line, and he dives ahead of his teammate Larini with the Opel of Ludwig in third place. It's Fisichella, it's Alfa Romeo in fourth place. And once more we ride with Reuter. Bartels is fifth. They've sorted out that fuel leak, I hope, as the rest of the field stream out behind Reuter, and the Alphas lead. Alpha 1, Alpha 2, Opel 3, Alphas 4, 5 and 6. Mercedes are absolutely nowhere. There's JJ Lehto's Opel ahead of Uwe Alpsen's car. But the only Opel that's up in the front running is Klaus Ludwig's Zack-Speed car at the moment, and Fisichella is challenging him as they come down the hill. Manuel Reuter is also challenging Bartels. Reuter is the championship leader, need I remind you, and Oliver Gavin well placed once more. He's just past Hans Stuck for ninth place behind JJ Lehto and Uwe Alpsen, and the first Mercedes is Van Ommen's back in 13th place. Dario Franchitti is 15th. On this slippery circuit, the four-wheel drives are raining, the two-wheel drive Mercedes are nowhere. There's a strong wind blowing sand across the circuit from the beach, and that's obviously contributing to the very slippery conditions. Oh, a bit slippery there for leader Nannini, who was right across the curve as he leads the rest of the field through the double S bend that takes the cars back onto the start-finish straight. Here they come into our sight now. Alpha, Alpha, Opel. Alpha, 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 Opel. That was Manuel Reuter running across the curbs, kicking up the dust, but he's back on the tarmac once more. The rest of the field following these two flying Alphas. That's Van Ommen attacking one of the Alphas in his black Mercedes. And now Uwe Alpsen attacking JJ Lehto, hits him, hits Lehto. Lehto backwards off the circuit onto the gravel. That's JJ Lehto in the Keke Rosberg Opel, hunted off by Uwe Alpsen in the Zack-Speed Opel. We see it again, hits him fair and square by the back wheel. There's nothing Lehto can do about that at all. So a big delay for JJ Lehto, a black mark for Uwe Alpsen, and the rest of the field now steaming away up the hill. And that's Hans Stuck being spun round. Hans Stuck is hit by Gabriele Tarquini. That's the other Keke Rosberg run Opel. Michael Bartels in problems too, brings the Alpha into the pit, and we're riding once more with Manuel Reuter. He's chasing Christian Danner's Alpha, the championship leader, lying in 6th place at the moment. Once more in a good position for more championship points, and the black flag's coming out. It's for Hans Stuck. Apparently he had a push start after being spun round to rejoin the race. You're not allowed to have a push start, so the black flag for him, and that's Gabriele Tarquini, the car that hit him, now going slowly, so more problems for him. And Alessandro Nannini, meanwhile, well clear of the rest of the field. But Nicola Narini's got a problem. Nicola Narini in the number 2 Alpha, smoking, dives across the road into the pit lane, heads for the pit. Is it all starting to go wrong for Alfa Romeo once more? Nannini still leads, but the second place Martini Alpha now in the pit lane. Fisichella's Alpha is second, therefore. Ludwig third for Opel. Danner fourth for Alfa Romeo, ahead of Reuter and Alpsen. But here is Larini in the pits, and I don't think he's happy at all.
I'm really down because every race something happened to me.
And Christian Danner seems to be slipping down the field. Ludwig third, Reuter fourth, Uwe Alpsen is fifth. Christian Danner's lost 3 places. He's being pushed very hard now by Oliver Gavin, and Gavin goes through on the inside of that left-hander. And Van Ommen's pushing hard too in the Mercedes. Van Ommen lining up to go inside Christian Danner on the next right-hander, and he does it. Squeezes through, not very much room, and as Danner goes wide, so next comes Yannick Dalmas in the Opel, and I think Christian Danner perhaps is suffering from the sort of road-holding problems due to tyre wear, which we saw Alfa Romeo struggling with in the first round. Something dripping off the back of Danner's car that looked like the sort of fuel leak briefly there, which we did see on Bartels' car earlier. And here comes Franchitti, Dario Franchitti, the young Scot, going past Christian Danner on the inside. That makes Dario Franchitti 9th. Danner down to 10th, and Franchitti running second of the Mercedes, with Van Ommen in front of him and Bernd Schneider, his teammate, some way behind. So Christian Danner trying to hang on to Dario Franchitti, not succeeding. We see it again. Franchitti, the rising star from Scotland, but he's had variable luck in the ITC so far this year. One of the stories of it last year. And there's the other British interest in this race. This is Oliver Gavin holding a magnificent sixth place despite all the efforts of the Mercedes driver Van Ommen behind him. And here come the leaders now. Alphas 1 and 2. Alessandro Nannini crosses the start-finish line to start his final lap. Looks across to his right at the pit signals and then turns into the long downhill right-hander. Giancarlo Fisichella in the other Alpha is still second, holding off Klaus Ludwig, who's third, about 7 seconds behind. Manuel Reuter and Uwe Altman fourth and fifth. There's Oliver Gavin's time in sixth place, with Van Ommen still seventh. Through the uphill, twisting left, then right, then left. At the back, behind the paddock, goes Alessandro Nannini. And this is going to be a great day for Alfa Romeo. It's been a terrible start to the ITC season. They had a disaster in the opening round at Hockenheim. Didn't do much better at the Nürburgring. But today, here in the sunshine in Portugal, it's all come right for the Alfa Romeo team now, with that black Alfa Romeo, that's Giudici's car, being lapped, about to be lapped by the yellow Opel of Ludwig. And Ludwig goes through on the inside of the number 13 Alpha. He doesn't want to hang around because Manuel Reuter isn't far behind him. There's Manuel Reuter now passing Giudici and anxious to make his fourth place, third place if he can. I don't think Klaus Ludwig's going to make it easy for him. Through the twists behind the paddock they go, with Uwe Altman in the other yellow Zakspeed car following in fifth place. Through that tight uphill chicane with Reuter using the curb, but it's not going to do Reuter any good. And meanwhile, here's the leader as Alessandro Nannini comes through that long, long right-hander that ends the lap. The checkered flag is waiting. The Alfa Romeo crew go delirious with delight. Here comes Alessandro Nannini to score Alfa Romeo's first win of the year. Bravo, says the pit signal. Alessandro Nannini first, Giancarlo Fisichella second for Alfa Romeo. There is Ludwig taking third from Reuter. Alson will be fifth. And look at this battle for sixth, because Oliver Gavin's going to get it, or is he? Yes, Oliver Gavin is sixth by inches from Van Ommen, who is seventh for Mercedes-Benz. Yannick Dalmas is eighth. Dario Franchitti second, Mercedes in ninth place, and Alex Wurz is 10th. We'll take a break there, and we'll be back for race 2 from Estoril. Welcome back to Estoril. You join us as the course car peels off for the start of race 2. The fields lined up for this second rolling start in the order in which they finished race 1, with Oliver Gavin in the blue and white Opel on the second row, going down the left-hand side on the right, Alfred in the yellow Opel on the grass. But it's the Alphas at the front. It's Alessandro Nannini who's got the outside line as they come down to the first right-hander. Nannini takes the lead. Fisichella is second. And in third place, it's Uwe Altman with Reuter coming up inside him. We ride with Reuter, and it's Alpha, Alpha, Opel, Opel. But there's been an accident at the first corner. Dario Franchitti's silver Mercedes-Benz stationary sideways across the track. Ludwig is involved, the rest trying to squeeze through. Surely we're going to have a red flag because the track is completely blocked. This race must be stopped. That is Maylander's crippled Mercedes-Benz creeping along the grass verge, and there is indeed a red flag. There is the red flag. We look at it again from behind. Franchitti sideways into the barriers, and on the right you see Leto hitting his teammate Stuck head-on, and the track completely blocked. Did Klaus Ludwig start it? Let's hear Dario Franchitti's version.
I was hit from the rear by one of the Opels. I think he wasn't too happy at me passing him around the outside. Mr. Ludwig took a bit of exception to me doing that to him, spun me round in front of the whole pack. There's not a lot of runoff there. I hit the front of the barrier, but luckily everybody managed to avoid any major incidents. You know, there was a lot of cars touching and stuff, but no big damage.
Yes, a lot of bodywork needing to be replaced, but most of the cars involved are now back on the grid for the 4th rolling start of the day. Oliver Gavin on the left with borrowed bodywork from Manuel Reuter's car. But now, as the light goes green for the fourth time, once more it's Alessandro Nannini versus Giancarlo Fisichella. But it's Nannini who's got practice now, going all the way round that outside, taking the lead yet again. Fisichella is second, then the two yellow Zaxby's Opals with Manuel Reuter there, and Oliver Gavin is there pretty close as well. So it's Ludwig third, Alpsen fourth, Reuter fifth, Gavin is sixth. Once more, Gavin's closest challenger is Jörg van Ommen in the Mercedes. He's the front-running Mercedes. Nicola Larini is in the pack, having started this race after an engine change. Alphas 1 and 2, therefore, Opel 3, 4, 5. Mercedes now 6th with Van Ommen ahead of Gavin. Yannick Dalmas is in 8th place behind Gavin. Dario Franchitti, the next Mercedes up, and there is Van Ommen charging up the inside once more. It's Reuter that Van Ommen's got in his sights now. Van Ommen very much the top Mercedes here in Estoril as the Alphas continue to lead. There is Reuter, there is Van Ommen, and you can see the front of Van Ommen's car weaving under braking. Remember, the Mercedes have only two-wheel drive, and they're much less stable on this very slippery circuit than the four-wheel drive Alphas and the four-wheel drive Opels. All these cars with about 520 horsepower, tremendously sophisticated, lots of carbon fibre, lots of clever trick suspension and lots of onboard computers, multi-million-pound machinery, and very, very quick through the twists and turns of the tortuous Estoril circuit. But it's Alfa Romeo on top, as they haven't been so far this year, and Mercedes struggling to show their form. Here they come again over the start-finish line. Nannini, Fisichella, Ludwig, Alpsen, Reuter, there's Van Ommen. Behind Van Ommen, the untypically black and white Opel, the normally blue and white Opel. That is Oliver Gavin running with a borrowed bonnet from Manuel Reuter. There is the silver Mercedes of Dario Franchitti, and there is Nicola Larini. What a miserable day he's having. He's been charging up through the field, but he is already out as the Opel of Ludwig challenges Fisichella's second place Alpha, and Ludwig really wants that second place. We watch it from behind as Fisichella sees in his mirrors two yellow Zaxby's Opels, but one of them getting very, very close indeed, and that is Klaus Ludwig, who's getting extremely impatient. The two Opels being held up, it seems now, by the Alpha as Alessandro Nannini moves away. Bang! That's a pretty hard thump from Klaus Ludwig, and Ludwig has damaged the front of his car, but he's pressing on. Ludwig and Alpsen in the two yellow Zaxby's Opels, and Fisichella hanging on to this second place, despite a heavy blow from Ludwig. Ludwig still going for it. Now Alpsen trying to get inside Ludwig. The two Zaxby's cars are racing each other, but Ludwig has got his sights set on second place. He's determined to get past the Alpha. Nannini crosses the start-finish line. Fisichella slipping back a little bit. That is Ludwig's pit signal. He's half a second behind Fisichella, half a second ahead of Almate, and into the long downhill right-hander, all of them using the curb, the second right-hander that follows, and then they're coming back uphill again into the twisty section which leads to a very tight second gear left-hander, and still Ludwig pushing hard. Bang into the back. That's a replay of how he damaged his front end. It doesn't seem to have upset the performance of the car, although it can't do his aerodynamics much good, and still Ludwig impatiently looking for a gap. Manuel Reuter has caught up the two Zaxby's cars, so three Opels running close together in third, fourth and fifth places, and still Ludwig looking down the outside as they come under braking. He's going on the inside, he's hit him! Ludwig clouts Fisichella straight off the track. You can see that car's got four-wheel drive as Fisichella furiously gets back onto the tarmac to set off in pursuit, and the front of Ludwig's car now looking very, very battered indeed. Can he keep going without repairs? He's in second place, is Klaus Ludwig. Still Nannini leading for Alpha ahead of all this excitement. Ludwig now second, Alpsen now third, Reuter now fourth, and poor old Fisichella has rejoined. He's in fifth place at the moment, and we see it again. Ludwig clouts the back of the Alfa Romeo, goes for a gap that isn't there, nearly hits the front of the Alfa Romeo again, just misses it at the front as Fisichella rotates backwards off the circuit, and Ludwig goes through to an ill-gotten second place. And I wonder what his pit crew make of all of that. Meanwhile, the battle now is on for fourth place, because Manuel Reuter, the championship leader, has been caught by the flying Jörg van Ommen, very much the star of the Mercedes-Benz team here in Estoril. Van Ommen is fifth, but he wants to make it fourth in these closing stages. Nannini, the leader. The two Opels not far behind the two yellow Opels, but the black Opel in fourth place of Reuter, under real pressure now from Jörg van Ommen. He hasn't got very far to do it. He's having a little look at the inside as they break for the tight left-hander behind the pits. Now accelerating away, we ride with Reuter. There's Ludwig, there's Alpsen, and there is Reuter with his mirrors absolutely full of the black Mercedes of Jörg van Ommen. This is the final lap. The Alfa Romeo looks as though it's going to win it. And this is Reuter at work, glancing up at the mirrors, then turning left, then right, and he's got that Mercedes almost in his boot lid as they race for the checkered flag. Ludwig and Alpsen and Reuter and Van Ommen. Pressure really on these four running in the final racing lap here at Estoril after a tremendous afternoon's racing. Here comes Alessandro Nannini to score his second win in two outings here at Estoril. Nannini wins, Ludwig is second, Alpsen third, Reuter gets fourth place from Van Ommen. Giorgio Pianta of Alfa is delighted. There's the hero of the day, Nannini. But what about the battle for seventh? Oliver Gavin going for the line. Hans Stuck is in his mirrors. Gavin is seventh. Stuck is eighth. Wurtz is ninth. Modena is 10th. Dario Franchitti 11th. And there's Bernd Schneider taking 12th place. The Alfa Romeo fans are all celebrating. It's been a great day for Alessandro Nannini. Note his right arm, injured in a helicopter accident which kept him out of Formula One racing, but he's still a superb driver and a superb competitor. Alfa first, therefore, Opel second, third and fourth, but Nannini is feeling optimistic now about Alfa's form for the rest of the season.
This year is much better. We're beginning to have a good speed, and we're beginning to make some other adjustments in the car compared to 3-4 years ago. And now it's nice.
Not so nice for Klaus Ludwig, because after the race it was announced he'd been given a 20-second penalty for this shunting match, dropping him out of the top 10. So Alpsen is third, Oliver Gavin is sixth, Dario Franchitti gets into the points in 10th place. And two more consistent finishers for this man, Manuel Reuter, who extends his ITC championship lead over Magnussen and Franchitti. Can they fight back in the next event in Finland? Join us in Helsinki to find out.